Hey, welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Oh, you wanna talk? Okay then. Baby, just say that up to drunk.
Welcome
back.
We're in a different spot. You're not going crazy.
It's really, really warm in here.
It's really hot.
So if we tweak out a little bit, it's because it's just really warm in this booth.
It's really getting us.
Really
Guys, it was 21 degrees yesterday.
It was beautiful outside.
Spring is coming.
Spring into summer.
Oh, Lizzie McAlpine? Wow.
Spring into summer.
She's different. She likes good music.
Yeah, of course I do. I'm her.
Yes.
Enough. It's been a while, guys.
Yeah,
we
it's been
missed
some
you.
time. Midterms.
Busy.
Lots of assignments.
Lock in.
Y'all should be studying. Why are you watching a podcast?
Yeah, lock in. What are you
Y'all
guys
got
doing?
school.
We got school.
We got school.
Multiple assignments due very soon.
Yeah, but you know what? It's just the risk we do because we love to chat.
And
we love to talk to you guys.
We love you guys.
We love y'all.
We
Thank
love
you for the
Angel.
love. Yo, we love Angel.
We love Angel.
Angel's been on us for not posting an episode. We love you. Shout out.
The cutest first year ever. We know.
Yes.
We love you, Angel.
Thank you for the support. Thank
and
you,
thank
everyone.
you for pushing us to do another episode because holy cow.
I know. Well, it's hard. Like,
is
it's
hard.
just we're head in the books, all nighters. You know.
We are very studious, and it's also hard getting, a podcast studio time.
Yeah.
So, because we film at our school, so that's why we're in a different booth today.
Yeah, they've put us in the small room.
They put us
They don't
in an
understand.
insane asylum. Oh my god, it's so suffocating.
It's a little warm.
It's a little warm, but we're gonna have a great episode today.
Yeah,
though.
well, I mean, if you guys tuned into our last episode, we skipped Media of the Week, but
We
for
did.
good reason. It was something that now is a little bit outdated, but
Well, that's
we
okay.
knew we had to do a lot more research on it and kind of make it a bigger topic than what it was.
Yeah.
But to give you guys some context of what we're going to be talking about, we're looking today at nationalism, specifically within Canada compared to the United States.
Very exciting.
And if you guys don't know what nationalism is, we kind of have a little definition. A little definition.
We always have a definition. We always come prepared.
Of course.
All right, I'll read you this definition. Nationalism is the doctrine or practice of promoting the collective interests of a national community or state above those of individuals, regions, or other nations. You want that in dumbed down terms, y'all?
Yes.
I got
Let's
you.
dumb it down.
Let's dumb it down a little bit. If you've ever heard the statement, Canada first, America first, that is a form of nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically this idea and this practice of putting your own country and their needs and their interests above those of other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear people like Donald Trump say America first, he is signaling the idea of putting American production first, putting American manufacturers first, putting the interests of the American people, or at least that's what it's supposed to signal, above those of other nations.
Yes. And what you guys may know, if you've ever taken kind of like a social science course before, is this idea between Canada being a mosaic and the United States being a melting pot. And kind of just, it goes hand in hand with nationalism.
It does.
This idea of being a mosaic is uniquely a Canadian kind of term. You know, you have immigrants who come into the country. You know, our country is founded on immigration.
Yeah.
And Canada really prides itself on multiculturalism, being able to have immigrants come in and keep a part of themselves. And we kind of like build up this mosaic of a bunch of different identities and cultures and ethnicities. Yeah. Whereas the United States has been comparatively called a melting pot. Mm-hmm. So everyone who immigrates who comes in,
they adopt this American
that culture.
identity.
The Eagles.
What the fuck is a mile?
Yeah. And it's like, you know, like they lose that kind of like self-identity they get from before. Yeah. So, you know, historically, you know, Canada has always been said to have less nationalism than the United States.
Yes.
And there was even like scholars that we found when we were researching who said, you know, Canada has no real one identity.
That's actually a very, very big thing that's talked about a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Like, as even outside of the research we've done, like if you ever take a sociology class that has to do with identity and Canadian identity as well, or even a politics class, they will talk about this idea that Canada does not have an identity.
Yeah.
And that is both true and untrue, at least in my opinion.
I agree.
Because I do agree, you know what, a mosaic doesn't have a singular identity, but I think the idea that we have this collective cultural identity is a Canadian identity.
Yeah.
You know what? There are distinctly Canadian things.
Yeah.
Putin,
bro.
Putin, I had to. The Quebecois are gonna get at me, okay?
The Quebecois are watching, bro.
But you know, poutine. Hockey is sorry, the Americans. Hockey is like a very Canadian thing. It's a very Canadian thing.
Yeah.
But our other sports like lacrosse, we have Canadian food. We do have a Canadian identity. But I think even further than that, our Canadian culture is the mosaic. It is about welcoming other people, and it is about adopting and understanding and appreciating all these other cultures.
Yeah.
Had to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, I agree. It's a great rant there, honestly. But like as you've mentioned, you know, like there is kind of this debate. It's like really, you know, is Canada a mosaic? Do we have one identity? Are we becoming more similar to the United States in that sense of nationalism? That's kind of what we wanted to talk about today. Yeah. So obviously, it's been, you know, I'm not going to try to guess the amount of days, but it's been since January, since the inauguration in the United States. Yeah. And there's clearly been like some sort of shift that I think a lot of people have been seeing in terms of Canadian nationalism. But honestly, like it started kind of before. Like when we were really talking about how Canadians have started to kind of like rep being Canadian. Like that kind of like idea of repping your country.
Yes.
Its seeds kind of started earlier on.
It did.
It did.
Let's take you back to 2021, I believe. 2021, roughly. And what in Canada we had called the Freedom Convoy. So this is where me and Raquel both kind of understood where we started to see kind of that major shift. But I wouldn't even say it was the major shift. It was a major shift.
Yeah.
So for those of you who may not know, because it did happen in Ontario, so maybe Canadians you didn't know, or people who are watching who aren't Canadian, the Freedom Convoy, it was a protest that lasted God knows how many weeks, and honestly continued even after the occupation, where truckers from across Canada, I can't say if it was truly across Canada or not, but truckers across Canada came to Ottawa, which is our capital of our country, and occupied streets in Ottawa for days. I think it was over a week. And they were incredibly disruptive. Factually, they were disruptive to the point where the Canadian government had to call a state of emergency because of it. And so in this, it was let's say their intention behind it was to rally Canadians together to protest the COVID restrictions because they believed it was an infringement of their rights. And so in this occupation, because it legitimately was occupied, they occupied streets of Ottawa for days. They slept in their trucks for days. In this, they were nationalists in their point of view, in their perspective, because they were trying to better, they were advocating for the interests of Canadians.
Yes,
they were trying,
1,000%.
Exactly. They were trying to get something done that would be benefiting Canadians. We can agree to disagree if it was the correct right.
Like, despite what their intentions were at the end of the day and whether people agree or disagree with what happened. Yes. You could admit that there were seedlings that were there. There was there was something that was planted, right? I agree. Now that may not be the first time, but it's in our generation, you know, that's what we've seen in the last decade, you know, a big shift where people are really starting to take the Canadian name. Yes. A lot of Canadian flags started, you know, being posted in a way that we don't really see, you know, in a lot of places across Canada. Yeah. But, you know, another major shift that we've seen, as I've kind of hinted to already, was moving on to the inauguration of Donald Trump this past January, and the trade war that we're living within right now.
Oh, and my word.
The thing with that, yes, we know the tariffs. Listen, we said if we're trying to do a podcast, we're trying to explain things to you. Yeah. Do you know how hard it is to keep up with these tariffs? We're doing our best.
It's ridiculously hard because every single day, every single time that Donald Trump will bring up a tariff against Canada, legitimately within 3 days, he brings it back down. So it's just very hard to kind of commentate on that.
Right now, we will. We want to give it to you when there's a final answer.
Yeah. Or there's at least a prolonged period of time where there's an issue with it. It is an ongoing issue. Do not get that wrong. But it's just, we don't want to kind of come out with an episode where it's like, oh, tariffs, here's what you need to know about them. And then 2 days later, they're
he changes them again.
Psych.
But we can't admit, even this like volatility of this, like this fact that he's changing his mind so many times and no one's really sure of where we're at with the tariffs. Like a lot of people don't even know what tariffs are still. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a shift like for Canadians where, you know, not only is Parliament, but regular Canadian citizens are really Canada first. Canada first. Buying Canadian products, you know, all of these things. And we see it on a political level, but more so like with these threats of like Canada becoming the 51st state.
Oh my God.
What are we doing?
I don't think anything has ever rallied Canadians together, at least in the last decade, than something like Canada's the 51st state.
It's ridiculous. I remember when it first came out and there was the AI-generated pictures and all these things that Trump was tweeting about. I went to Sophie and I was like, genuinely, whatever, you have your thoughts about Trump, What a stupid move by him to say that. Because not only are you causing an issue with one of your greatest trade partners.
Your biggest ally, to be completely fair.
But now our country looks so weak to the rest of the world.
Weak.
And our alliance looks weak. If there was supposed to be a war that decided, hey, we want to attack, Canada or U.S. today, and they would hit us now when they see that we are not in allyship right now. Canadians are not rushing to pay taxes to go help, the United States if they were to go to war.
Exactly. And, we're not going to obviously dive too deep on this, but I did want to touch on this idea of this 51st state because I think, I don't want to go to waste. Why not? Like, I think this idea of threatening our sovereignty is a very, very, very big issue. And before we put out the episode where we're going to dive more into this, I actually recommend all of you to go and look at this and understand the threats that Donald Trump and his administration are making, because it is very, very, very dangerous. It's a very, very dangerous line that he is towing. It's a very dangerous line that Canadian politicians are not coming out and speaking about it. The fact that Doug Ford, and you know what, I didn't vote for him, but I can appreciate the fact that he has come out and been so Canada first, so staunchly defendant of our sovereignty. That is so important.
It's why he won the election.
It is. And you know what, I can respect that, because we need more politicians that are doing that.
I agree.
You know what, Trudeau, give it to him, hate him, love him, whatever, doesn't matter. In his final moments in office, he absolutely defended us in every capacity that he could. And that is what we need from leadership moving forward. People who are going to be like, who are going to put a stop. It's nonsense. It is nonsense. Listen, regardless of what you want or what you think, Canada will not be the 51st state.
Absolutely
it will
not.
never happen. There are so many hoops for people to jump through even to make that possible, because we are not technically separated from the monarchy yet.
No.
So because we're still in the Commonwealth, first of all, we'd have to do that.
Yeah.
First of all.
Big step to get through.
And then we'd have to decide to amalgamate with the U.S. It's just a ridiculous idea. It's like, you know what? Like, I agree. Maybe we should make more trade agreements. Maybe we should make easier ways for Americans to come into Canada, Canadians to come into America, whatever. Make more free-flowing things through both countries. But not make us the 51st state.
This is not the way that nationalism should come up
for
either country. Like, I get, Republicans a lot of the time, their biggest offense is, he's putting United States first. And they want this sense of nationalism to continue.
Yeah.
But for Canadians who have never really had this strong sense of nationalism before, whatever, depending on how you look at it, for it to come this way, I'm just kind of like in awe. It's strange.
It's very strange. Is actually the perfect word for it.
It's very strange.
Because as well, it just came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And it's like we've been so amazing, I think, as neighbors to the States. So I think for this to happen, that's why a lot of Canadians are getting very upset.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll say, we've said this at the beginning of the podcast. We say it all the time. Politics are genuinely like in everyone's lives.
Everywhere.
It's something that you guys should care about, something that everyone should care about. That's why we're doing a podcast. And I said to, my boyfriend's family and all this stuff recently, I was like, you know what? Like, politics is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's in hockey.
It's in hockey.
And we, as a Canadian.
Hey, Canadian,
As a Canadian podcast here, we have to talk about it.
Hockey
has been crazy. And, we're a little bit outdated. A lot of the topics that we're talking about happened a few weeks ago.
Yes, they did.
But it's still so pertinent because as soon as that season starts back up again,
it's going to keep going.
But, first, we got to talk about the national anthem.
We do. So, like we said, this did happen a few weeks ago, but I know it's on everyone's radar still. Canadians were booing the American national anthem.
Good. Good.
We were, and I'm going to bring up two incidents before we're going to talk about a major incident, let's say, that happened fairly recently.
Yeah.
The first was right around where the first kind of tariff threat had split.
Yes.
I think it was where the first time he actually said, I'm going to tariff Canada. And so it was a hockey game in late January, early February, and one of, I think, the first incident that had happened was at an Ottawa Senators game. And so there was a few videos. Maybe I'll put one up on the screen.
We'll put one right now.
Right now.
Also screw the Senators, bro. Leafs fan for life.
Leafs fan for life. So, like you saw in that video, that Canadians were booing the American national anthem. So that was the first kind of incident of the booing of the national anthem. The second one, there was a second hockey game. I couldn't fully find it, but the second incident I could find was apparently days after this hockey game. There was an NBA game in Toronto Raptors, love them, against the LA Clippers, and there was also another booing incident. I'm not going to put up the video for that one. And so Canadians were incredibly frustrated about this tariff move. And actually,
I mean, it's going to cost Canadians how much, right?
And I think, we are, again, like I said, we were going to have another video about this, but for the sake of this video and you understanding why Canadians would be booing, because obviously we're the friendly neighbors up to the north.
Neighbors,
we would never, we've actually sang the national anthem along with Americans when for years when technical difficulties have happened, things like that. So you might be like, well, why would we do that? Let's explain this issue with tariffs fairly quickly.
Okay.
I think it's very important just to put a little bit of context.
Just
okay?
a little, yeah.
A little bit of context. A tariff, just so everyone understands, would be put onto the consumer of that country. I think a lot of people in the media have tried to push that the countries that are being tariffed are the ones paying for the tariffs. That is not true. You can think of a tariff like a tax, okay? It's put on the American consumers because it's put on the companies that are being tariffed. So for an example, okay?
Yeah.
I have my country, it is Sophie land, okay?
Okay.
Raquel has her country, it is Raquel land, okay? I decide we're having a fight, I hate you, I'm going to tariff you, okay?
Damn.
Hey, you want to import things into my country?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to pay a tariff, okay? Watch what happens though, okay?
Damn.
That tariff is put on the importers in my country because they are going to that country, taking it and importing it
back
into my country. And so obviously, if companies in my country are like, oh, well, I have to pay 25% more money, 25% tax on my items that I'm importing into this country.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to hug that cost.
I can't afford that.
I can't afford that. I'm putting it on the consumers.
They can. They're greedy monkeys.
Greedy monkeys. So I'm going to put it on the consumers because that's just the logical reason no company would hug that because it's going to lose them money.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put it on the consumers. They're going to pay that extra charge.
Sophieland, people are broke now.
People are broke now.
Now there's a recession in Sophieland.
Because everything has gone, what? Up. That's how a tariff works. So that's the back and forth that we're having here.
And you got to imagine that's where a lot of Canadian frustration is coming from, especially because a lot of Canadians are a little bit more informed in what exactly these tariffs are going to mean.
Yeah.
So
it hurts our economy.
It does. And it's like nobody wants to go watch a hockey game and support the other side. And I will say it was very clear that there is a divide between the two countries. And most recently, I don't know if there are hockey fans watching, but the Four Nations game occurred. And for my non-hockey watchers, I'll try to dumb it down as easy as possible. It's kind of like an exhibition game. It's an off-season, they haven't done it, I think, in 9 years. Don't quote me. It's been some time.
Because I think it was 2016. Yeah, when it happened in Toronto. Yes.
Not sure, sorry.
Fact check me, but I think I'm right.
Probably.
I have a poster of it.
Oh, okay. But during that game, you had, 4 teams, and U.S. and Canada kind of went up against each other. And I was watching the game at my boyfriend's house with his dad. Shout out, Brian. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday. But, I was watching it with him, and I'm sitting there and watching the game. And tell me why there's 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of an exhibition hockey game.
That's
now,
Chuck
if you
Brothers.
guys don't walk... Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I have no idea. But if you guys are not hockey fans, if an exhibition game, you're not getting paid.
Nah.
There's no stakes. It's supposed to be a fun game. You show off, you know, all that stuff. All my boyfriend's dad kept saying was, oh my God, they're never going to let them play this again. Why would they enter into a game that's supposed to be for fun, and then there's a potential for all these players to get injured?
Yep.
And all that kept going through my head is why is there this stark aggression that we didn't see when Canada played the other team? We're only seeing it in this first game. 3 fights in 9 seconds is unheard of.
Unheard of. Well, it's just ridiculous.
It's unheard of for playoff season, let alone an exhibition game.
You can see the videos online. Every single time the puck dropped, there was
hands.
The gloves came down.
And you know what? I hate to be that guy, but I had to say it. I'm listen, there are strong political tensions that have made their way into every aspect of our lives, including popular culture like hockey and sports games. And people don't really understand that. They want to say, oh, I don't get involved in politics. Too bad. It's everywhere. It's here. You watch your hockey game, there's politics involved. Now, I'm not saying that the fights were started because of a political matter, but
They were.
There's tension that has been building between the two countries, and to come up and represent and probably be told in that dressing room, hey, you're representing the country against the country who's trying to take you over. Come on, right? I mean, there was that one incident I with the hockey game years ago where, the U.S. team took the Canadian flag and was putting on the floor of their dressing room.
Yes.
Horrible. It's disrespectful.
Yep.
So when Canadians are going up against an American team, there is that political fire that's behind
There's
it.
that tension. And I mean, just to even tack onto that, like, why do you think, like, Trump called them in their dressing room? I'm sure Justin Trudeau called the Canadian team.
Yeah.
And then in the press secretary address, like the press secretary for Trump, I forget her name, starts with a K. Don't know.
She's crazy.
She's so crazy. She's just a Barbie up there. Somebody asked, like, how does Trump feel about the Four Nations game? She's like, he looks very, he's going to call the team. It's going to be a great call. And we look very forward to our team defeating
our soon-to-be 51st state.
Like,
are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? That is literally politicizing
this is a politically
hockey.
charged game. And I saw a video on it. I wish I would have found it because we would have used it as our media of the week. But it was this girl, and she just kept saying, like, people want to say politics isn't involved. If Canada were to lose that game...
When Canada lost the first game in the round robin, it was
enough.
Everyone's like, hockey's not Canada's game, it's America's game. Oh my God, go USA, USA, USA. So what happened, Raquel? What happened, Raquel,
won. We won in overtime.
We won in overtime.
As per usual. But here's this thing, though. Like, if we were not to lose, imagine the commentary about, look at our 51st state. Yeah. We can do what they can do. Like, it would have been a thing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, our players locked in. Marner did nothing, but love the guy. He wants to stay safe. He's just a baby up there.
He is. But you know what? Thank you, McDavid.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. He scored the overtime goal.
I don't know. That was weeks ago. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think so. But no, our team did very, very well. And then that's why I think there was a huge sentiment, at least online, about, like, go Canada. We love you, Canada. Like, so proud to rep Canada. And I think especially in recent years, this form of nationalism where we are coming together as a collective to defend our sovereign right to be a country is so important. It's so important because, in recent years, there has been a lot of divide in our own country.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And it's been valid. There's been a lot of concerns about Indigenous residential schools and Canada's role and Canada itself having systemic racism issues. Mm-hmm. So I think our division in the past has been very, very valid. But I think now the fact that we're able to come together as a country, despite all of our issues and our challenges, to be like, regardless, we're still a sovereign state and you can't come and take us, is very, very important.
1,000%.
Okay.
Great way to end that off.
Great way. Rock star.
What? Okay. But yeah, that's hockey talk for you.
Hey, hockey talk.
My brother plays hockey, and he's probably going to say that I got some of the facts wrong and this and that. I do my best.
You do your best.
I like hockey.
And also, hey, who cares?
Yo, facts. This is a political podcast, not a hockey one.
Not a hockey podcast.
But anyways, we're really happy we got to have that little chat with you. We'd love to move on to our media of the week.
Move on. Media of the week.
Let's show you. Well, first... Hey, guess what I did for you guys?
Oh.
I watched the presidential address, so you didn't have to. Yeah, because who wanted to sit through 3 hours of that?
It was nonsense.
We're going to play a little clip of that now, and then I thought it'd be kind of cool to do kind of like a highlight reel and talk about some of the key facts that was said during the address.
Facts. No printer. Roll the clip.
Roll the clip.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
We're back. Okay.
We're back. How'd you like that?
How'd you like that?
Bro, the whole thing was such a mess. Like, I was sitting at home, and my roommate came up to me, and she was like, oh, my mommy said that the presidential address is on. I stopped all my assignments. I was like, let me watch this. I think it'd be cool.
I didn't even know. I was at a musical rehearsal, and then I came back, and I was like, oh.
Check out the musical, by the way.
Oh
April
my gosh,
5th.
Guys, April 4th and 5th, the Soxy musical. Please come. Please come. Please come. It's going to be so exciting. I'm so excited.
It'll be fun. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought, like, I watched it and I was writing notes like crazy. So what I have presented for you today, Sophie, I'm just going to share with you in the class here.
Of course.
The highlights of the highlights
Thank
that
you.
I wrote down.
I'm gonna sit and be so quaint.
Yes, and I'll get some feedback, some chats about it. But off the bat, the most publicized part of it was the Texan senator that got kicked out almost immediately.
Yeah.
And that, more than anything, just set the tone and set what you're going to expect kind of hearing from the rest of this.
Yep.
Because obviously it happens. You know, we've seen our own Canadian cabinet get out of control. You know what I mean? But for this, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. And it was a clear sign of resistance, I would say, from the senator. And no, God bless his soul. I hope that, everything worked out okay for him. But anyways, but very closely after, and kind of, I mean, I only got to catch like the first 2 hours of the address, but what was pretty consistent was this like dystopian divide between the Republicans and the Democrats.
Yeah.
And what you've told me before is that's pretty usual. Like, you have one side clapping, maybe one that's pretty silent.
It's usual in the sense it's been usual in the past almost decade since Trump's era.
Yes.
And that's going to make sense because, divisiveness. Which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just what I just want to say that. Like, it's usual in the last decade, but however, you go back to Obama, Bush, there's a lot more non-partisanship. There's a lot more collective agreement, but
it was not only that like usual thing that we've kind of seen in that last decade that you're talking about, but also this like chanting. They were chanting USA, USA. I'm like, are we at a hockey game? Wait, did they know we were writing this like podcast together? Like, it just fits so nicely. But
it does.
It was this like really dystopian thing to watch, which I found really weird.
Scary.
And Donald Trump kept using this term, this side, when referring to the Democrats, which I really thought was a clear indicator of, okay, personally, I think that it could be a clear sign of kind of like a divisive or a division between these two parties that's greater than we've seen kind of before in the country.
But it is, and I mean, I don't even you're free to hesitate, but I wouldn't. I think that's true. I think even people in the U.S. can account for that. Like, there is a very, very big divide.
Yeah.
Some people are for it, some people are against it, but there's
we're seeing
divide.
that in Canada too. I mean, it's not only nationalism that's coming and sneaking their way into Canada. It's liberals versus conservatives so deeply. It's like, ugh.
But and a lot of it's an influence, obviously, of the states.
Yeah.
But you can know that it's an influence of the state when you have Canadians who are like, oh, Democrats. We don't have Democrats in Canada. Neither do we have Republicans. And you have people using these words when it's like, that's not the proper term.
Those aren't the
But
terms.
also people being like, Trump, oh my God, just, keep going.
We'll move on.
Keep going.
Another kind of thing that's on the same point is that if anybody did watch, a few of the Democrats who were kind of sitting near the back of the row were holding signs. Mm-hmm. Now, these signs were either up for the majority. Now, the camera stopped panning to them after some time.
Of course.
But near the beginning, you could see people kind of putting up their signs at certain points, other people holding it up. Mm-hmm. And I wrote down kind of a few of the sayings that were on there. There was one that said, save Medicaid. Mm-hmm. There's another one that said, protect veterans. Of course, protect our veterans. There's another one that said, Musk steals. Sorry, I have a lisp. I can't say Musk.
Yeah, Musk steals. Musk.
And then they had like a sign that said false.
Yes.
So that one was kind of like raising whenever he would make. Like, did you guys see the stuff about the transgender mice?
$8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
It's just not true.
God,
Please look into that. We didn't have time to put that in this episode, but please Google what that is.
And we're laughing because it's like, obviously it's so freaking, like, just so transphobic and so offensive.
But it's just not true.
But it's just not true. And that's why it's so laughable.
Yeah.
Like, transgender, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't know, but that's a thing, and it's like, okay, that's why the camera's not panning to these people raising signs saying false anymore.
False. There was actually a representative who, when Trump was walking in, she's holding up a sign that goes, "This is not normal." It's like,
yes, I forgot about that.
Yes.
Insane, bro. And hey, listen, you want to say our podcast isn't educational. I'm telling you, maybe some people there should have watched our video on DEI.
Maybe.
Because Trump brought it up a few times during the address.
He did, and they'd have a good understanding of what DEI means.
Would. The race, with the emojis and stuff. But, he talked about this idea about how, like, society will be woke no longer. That, he talks about the plane crashes again during this presidential address, which, you're using a tragedy once again to fuel your own narratives.
Okay.
And B, you're just talking nonsense.
Just straight nonsense.
And it's like, you guys know our opinions on the whole DI plane crash thing. We talked about it last week. If you haven't seen that episode, check it out. It's very important.
Very important.
Especially just for being educated in general, not even politically.
Yep.
But it was just so bizarre to me. I was like, I really didn't think he was going to double down on that point.
Yep.
Listen, I don't know. He mentions the gold card as well.
Yes.
We'll probably talk about that in another episode because it's a whole thing. I think we should do an episode really on immigration and what it's been changed to. It's
so silly.
Essentially a way to just bypass immigration if you can pay $5 million to get into the country.
You get an I think you get an expedited green card or something.
Did I mention dystopian? Did I mention dystopian yet?
Did you mention it?
Maybe I should again.
Maybe again. Hey, if you're kind of if you've ever if you have ever taken a grade 12 English course, which if you graduated high school, I hope you did.
Hey.
But I mean, if you've ever taken a grade English course, or if you've just read books, this should start signaling some things about Gilead, my friend. Yeah,
Gilead. Shout out.
This is giving Handmaid's Tale a little too much.
A little, bro. It's scary.
It's giving me war flashbacks.
Well, the other major thing that people were talking about, or at least that I noticed during this, was his mention. Now, this I need to fact check myself on this. This is just what he said.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to pursue this, but it was definitely something that he said out loud in an address that should be taken seriously. He mentioned that he was going to be giving mandatory death penalty to those who have killed police officers. Now, no opinions from us on that.
No.
However, the irony when it was weeks after him pardoning the people who actually severely injured and killed police officers during the January 6th riots is very difficult for me to believe. So
I think it's just hypocrisy.
Literally, the only reason of us really bringing up all these things is not to give you an opinion, it's not to take a stance, it's for you to really, when you're watching things like presidential address, or you're watching the clips on TikTok after, is to really sit and think about what it is that he's saying. Now, it wasn't all things like this. I made a note on here too. He talked about, taking tax off of tips or off of overtime. That's a great incentive for Republicans and for other Americans in total. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
But you gotta look at everything. You gotta look at the whole picture. You can't just look on clips that are gonna be posted on web pages the next day.
Agreed.
No one wants to sit down and watch a 3-hour presidential address.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing it for you.
And that's why she gave you the highlights.
Hey, that's that.
That was really good. I stayed because I know you were gonna handle that, but that was so well done.
Listen, 3 hours.
Give a clap for Raquel.
Thank you guys. I probably won't do that again.
It was a long process. It was a long process.
I don't know, but
that's that. I'm good on
that. Well, you know what? We've talked your ear off. We bored you with politics.
Yeah.
We thought, it'd be fun to do a little baby Let's Kiki session.
Kiki.
Little Kiki. Last week we had a guest. Week before that, Let's Kiki was talking about us.
Yes.
We thought, let's just pick a question. Let's pick a concept that's really relevant to our generation today.
And let's just
chat about it for a few minutes. And we would love to get your opinions in the comments on the same thing, and DM us, and we maybe can answer some questions on this in the next episode as well.
Yes. We're gonna talk about FOMO versus JOMO.
Now. Never heard of JOMO before in my life.
Until today, I was like, did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it makes sense. So FOMO obviously means fear of missing out. Mm-hmm. So JOMO is the opposite. It's joy of missing out.
Yeah.
And me and Raquel thought this was very pertinent for us to talk about because we are both. We are actually that. I am FOMO. She is JOMO.
I don't believe in FOMO.
Right.
And I will get into it, but my thing is I don't know. I just don't believe it.
No.
I'm sure it happens. Just not for me personally.
And this is why she's JOMO. This is why she loves. And for me, I think I've gotten a lot better at this idea of fear of missing out. But I do think I think it's very reasonable in certain situations. And I think what we want to talk about is just our own perspectives of
I think so, yeah.
Each,
if you guys
right?
don't mind.
Why don't you dive in a little bit into your
FOMO?
Into your hatred of FOMO?
I don't hate FOMO. I'm sorry you guys have it.
I'm sorry.
No, but
I'm sorry you guys have it.
A little dive into me for those who don't know me. I grew up as a very, very shy kid.
Mm-hmm.
I had my 2 best friends. I had my 1 best friend.
Yes.
I had, I knew who I wanted to hang out with, and that was that.
Yeah.
And at some point in high school, and I was actually talking to Sophie about this the other day, I just kind of woke up and I was like, I'm going to be a floater. I had my friend groups. I had people who I really loved and loved being around, but there was just this kind of you know, like, I don't really, like, friend groups weren't really for me.
Yeah.
Like, this idea of having to, you know, do all these things with them and doing this and that wasn't for me. So I think maybe that's where I kind of got this JOMO from.
Yeah.
I don't mind missing out on things. I am very comfortable being on my own. I'm very comfortable being with one person, two persons, I guess, two people.
Two persons.
That, I don't know, it feels more natural to me almost.
Yeah.
So this idea of, like, missing out isn't hurtful to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I don't mean to say, like, oh, like, it's not real. Like, obviously I get it. Like, we'll hear from Sophie in a minute. But personally, like, for anyone who's like me, any, like, independent, like, you know, young people or old people, I don't care. But this idea of, like, kind of being okay with not being a part of everything is normal.
Yeah.
Don't feel like just because everyone's shouting FOMO, that you have to feel that too. Because in my sense, I have more joy when I'm kind of on my own and I'm not with people all the time. Yeah. But you got to understand that's different for other people. So know your friends. You know if they're JOMO or FOMO, and you'll know better how to kind of communicate with other people. Very true. Tell me your stance.
That was really nicely said.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. I think on the flip side of this, of what Raquel is saying, like, I grew up, I'm a very, very energetic, outgoing person. So that's how I grew up. Like, I was always a chatterbox, like, legitimately. And so I think for me, like, I was bullied a lot as a kid. And so for me, like, when I had friends or when I knew people, like, this idea, I was always left out in some aspect. So I think that's where I kind of cultivated this, like, fear of missing out.
Now I sound like a bad guy.
No. It's not on you. Like, no, no, it's not on you. It's not on this. Like, I agreed honestly with everything you said because I think I've elevated into that mindset. And so, but I think growing up, like, especially when you do come from a kid who is bullied a lot and bullied especially by your peers or people who you want to like you.
Yeah.
You know, that causes a lot of issues. And so for me, it just not only gave me this FOMO thing, but it gave me this, like, I wanted to please people so that they would invite me to places, so they would do things for me. Yeah. And that is not good. That is not good. And I think with fear of missing out, I think in certain aspects, I genuinely can understand where I'm like, you know what, like, yeah, like, your friends constantly leaving you out is freaking shitty.
Get new friends.
It's really, really, really shitty.
It'll be better.
It's really shitty, but if you do have this kind of, like, where you're like, you know, like, I really need that person to like me. I really need to be invited to these places. Like, no, like, you need to learn to love all of the sides of yourself, and to love that alone time. So as I got older, like, when I entered high school, like, COVID, honestly, COVID was a nightmare, but also a godsend because I really loved that time I got alone. Like, that, I think, helped me to be more independent.
But that was different for, like, either people love being independent or they were going crazy being on their own.
Which is fair, which is so fair.
It changed a lot of us and a lot of friendships. Like, at least for me, like, going back to high school, I was like, whoa, some of these people I don't know anymore.
I don't know. Well, because you've just been away from them for so long, right? But I think for me, it developed a sense of independence. So I went into grade 11 and 12, and I was like, I was so fine not being in a big crowd. I was so fun because in grade 9 I, like, had so many friends. I was a floater, huge floater. But on top of that, I had so many friends, and then it dwindled down, and I just didn't care anymore. I was just like, yo, I like being alone. Don't piss me off. And so that really helped me in my final years. And then I got to university, and then I got bad again. Which
first year wasn't great.
First year was not great, but it happens. Yeah. And so I think, like, if I'm looking at people who are experiencing, you know, these things, and, you know, I'm trying to give you advice, it really just you have to really, really dig deep. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing I had to, like, remind myself of and teach myself of was that it's okay. It really is okay. It's okay. It's okay to be on your own. It's okay if those people, it's the let them theory. If those people...
Oh, let them.
Yes. Mel Robbins.
They said bent them. We're getting into sociology right now.
I remember that. If those people want to leave you out of things, let them. You need to you need to love being on your own. You need to love that alone time, because there's going to be very, very little time that you get to yourself in your future.
These terms, these categories of FOMO and JOMO aren't real.
They're not
Just
real.
be you. Don't let media define you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know,
if you feel it, then you feel it, but don't let it eat at you.
Exactly.
Genuinely, don't let it eat at you.
On either end.
On either end, because there's no point. Like these terms, they like to create so many terms and so many labels.
So many labels.
So many labels.
Stop labeling the kids.
And you know what? He's right. He's right. Stop. Because it's just like there's just so many terms and labels and so many things to come up with something to name something.
Yeah.
Shut up. I'm sorry, but
bro.
no, shut up. Shut up. It's okay. I promise
Everyone's gonna be okay.
From your big sisters, Raquel and Sophie, it is okay.
You're gonna be good. We went through it.
It's okay.
So now we survived.
Yeah.
You're gonna survive, bro. Don't worry.
It's so okay. I promise you. And
Yeah.
like, listen, if you are struggling, know that there are resources. Know that there's help out there. Talk to somebody about it.
1000%.
Talk to somebody who will understand and who will listen to you wholeheartedly, because that'll also help.
Yeah.
That helped me with my FOMO.
Dude.
When I was talking to you about it, like, it really, really did help.
Aw,
it did.
that's
Because
so
then I went,
sweet.
yo, Sophie, lock in.
Yo, lock in, bro.
Lock in.
This conversation I have with myself every day. I go,
Lock
yo,
in. Especially
lock
because
in.
those people that I was having FOMO over did not deserve it.
No, they rarely do.
Hate y'all.
Anyways, bro,
Yo.
that's kind of all we gotta say.
That
you know,
is it.
I really think, you know, Let's Kiki is gonna be a very fluid kind of section as we go through. But I really love just being able to talk to you guys naturally.
I do.
Sophie and I, you know, we love politics, but at the end of the day, we love a whole bunch of stuff, and we're philosophers deep down, you know. Anyway, shawties,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Yeah, we got some guests coming on next week. You gotta tune in.
Oh, should we plug that a little bit? No. Yo, you have to watch next week's episode.
You have to watch next week's
It's gonna be so
It's gonna be good. We
good.
got some familiar. If you go to Mac, there's gonna be some familiar faces.
From some celebrities.
Some campus celebrities.
Some campus celebrities coming on next week. It's gonna be so much fun.
Should be fun.
Yes.
But yeah, like, again, thank you guys so much for the love. Tune in and please follow our Instagram. We're gonna put the link up here. Our next week episode is going to have to do with some of your questions.
Yes.
So if you want to follow when we put up those polls, and you guys can give us some feedback.
Yes.
It's gonna be great. We love to communicate and participate with you guys.
And
so.
I'm always monitoring our comment section. So, like I said in the first episode, comment, leave your compliments and your questions.
Your compliments and questions.
And your comments in the comment box on YouTube and on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so if you have questions for next week's episode, just leave them there and we'll see them.
We'll get to them, bro.
Yeah, we'll get
Don't
to
worry.
them. Don't worry.
Anyways,
Thanks,
it was
guys.
a great episode. Thank you guys so much. We hope you learned something.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Peace, FamJam.
Yeah, slack. I'ma go hit from the back, and I keep me a Mac in my backpack. If a nigga want smoke, he can have that. Fashion no one G's make a ass fat. Say you shooting shit up at this rat cat. Got a brand new whip, but I crashed that. Shorty saw me too good, pay the cash at. Slack, cop foreign whip, make matte black.